Forget everything you think you know about American muscle. Today, we're diving into the story of a car maker that did not just build vehicles. It forged a pure and apologetic identity through raw innovation, a brand with dominant presence on the racetrack, and an even bigger one in popular culture. This is the journey of American hero. Every great story has a humble beginning, and the story of Pontiac can be told without his colossal parent company, the General Motors, and the brand to replace, the Oakland Motor Car Company. Founded in 1907, Oakland was absorbed into the GM empire by 1909, but the true star was still waiting in the wings. It wasn't not until 1926 that GM introduced a name that will echo through history, Pontiac. Named after the Great Ottawa Shift, the brand was initially launched as Oakland's affordable little sibling, but in a bizarre twist of fate, that younger brother became an instant smash hit. Edo sold his own pirate brand in a matter of months. The writing was already on the wall. Then came 1929. The stock market crashed and the Great Depression shocked the world. GM was forced into a heartbreaking choice. A brutal act of corporate survival between saving the expensive Oakland or the popular Pontiac. The decision was clear. Oakland come to the end. From the wreckage, Pontiac emerged as the survivor. And so, forging the fire adversity, Pontiac needed an identity. He found it. In 1935 with a detail that will become legendary, the silver streak. This distinctive chrome rib, running like a lightning down the center of the hood, was his visual signature for over 2 decades. It was not just a decoration, it was a statement. It was the first flash of the bold and distinctive style that would define his future. By mid-50s, Pontiac was stuck in the grandpa's car brand, comfortable, predictable, and cruising straight towards their irrelevance. But then, they arrived, three men who dared to challenge everything. Punky Knudsen, Pete Estes, and a visionary named John DeLorean. Their philosophy was simple but revolutionary. They understood that Pontiac to survive did not need a facelift, it needed a new heart. They knew a young, exciting car will conquer everyone, and they redesigned the brand from the ground. Their first symbolic act is scraping the iconic but dated silver streak. That was the past. They were looking to the future. And then, in 1959, they introduced the white track. This was not just a design, it was an attitude on wheels. The wheels were pushed out, the body was wider. These cars did not just look more stable, they looked dangerous. Pontiac was transformed practically overnight, from gray and boring to vibrant, young, and widely desirable. The proof is in the numbers. In just few years, Pontiac rocketed from the sixth place in sales to the third. The message to the world was no longer a suggestion. It was a declaration, a new slogan that will resonate for decades. We built excitement, and they proved it. It's 1963, and the statement comes from the very top of General Motors, a corporate ban on building cars for competition. It was a direct hit to the Pontiac soul, but in the shadows of the workshop, a handful of engineers refused to give up, led by John DeLorean and the shrewd Bill Collins. It was Collins who threw the challenge. What if, what if they took the colossal 389 cubic inch V8, an engine intended for a massive full-size car, and somehow wedged into the lightweight Le Mans chassis? They did it. The result was raw, accessible power, ready to dominate the streets. A true beast in the septic and elegant body. But an immense problem emerged. GM is strict internal rules. Their creation, the car they called the GTO, was a great corporate heretic. Where others see a massive wall, the Pontiac team found a loophole. With a stroke of genius, they did introduce the as a new model. Their clever offer is a simple option package. In 1967, Pontiac revealed the answer to the Chevrolet Camaro, the Firebird. Though it shared the platform, the Firebird had a more aggressive style and personality. And then the legend within the legend arrived, the Firebird Trans Am, a name that will become synonymous with poor performance eternal icon of the automotive culture. Pontiac's reputation was not forced on dealerships. It was forced on the raw of the engines pushed to the limit. Despite the shadow of the GM ban, Pontiac engineering found a way to scream its name on every type of competition. On the high banks of NASCAR ovals, Pontiac became an unstoppable force. But this wasn't an accident. It was a result of smart design. In 1962, the breakout year, they secured 22 race wins with the only manufacturer championship. The secret was the Super Duty line. These were street cars born in the racetrack, engines featuring aluminum connection rods, high-lift camshaft, and cylinder heads that flowed better than the competition. It wasn't just brute force, it was applied engineering. Legends like Richard Petty, the King, put their faith in that engineering. In fact, Petty clinched his historic 200 victory behind the wheel of the Pontiac in 1984. That performance heritage carried right into the modern era. Under the banner of Joe Gibbs Racing, Pontiac proved it still had what it took. Bobby Labonte in 2000 and Tony Stewart in 2002 piloted the Arrowhead emblem to the brand's last thrilling NASCAR championship. But if we're talking about modification and pushing engines to the limit, the stage was the NHRA. The builder and innovator Mickey Thompson was a pioneer. He was not satisfied with the status quo. He tuned, modified, and explored the potential of Pontiac engines. His engineering masterpiece was the Harvey Aluminum Special, a streamliner powered by no less than four Pontiac engines. In 1960, this speed hits 406.6 miles per hour, demonstrating the raw, untapped potential of this engine platform. And we can't forget Eddie Hill. His double-engine Pontiac Dragster was the first in history to break the 200 miles barrier in the quarter mile. Back in 1962, a staggering achievement that changed drag racing forever. The Pontiac spirit did not live in professional tracks. It was a fever spread in the streets. In 1974, the city of Pontiac, Michigan, did unthinkable. They turned their city streets into an action circuit with the Pontiac White Track Grand Prix. It was an audition experiment, a crucible of modified cars that drew massive crowds. It was the pure essence of street racing, the ultimate, run what you brought. But this raw rebellion ended in tragedy in 1975, with the death of a driver bringing a abrupt end to this local legend. But the Pontiac legend can be measured in horsepower. Its identified transcended the US border to become a global icon projected by the Dream Machine of Hollywood. The pure and most rebellion example can be the black 1977 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am in Smoking the Bandit. The director and former stuntman Hal Needham didn't choose it by accident. For him, the car's just not a vehicle, it was a character. But the effect was immediately and massive. The Trans Am sales skyrocketed, proving the power of silver screen store on wheels. But if the Spanish Trans Am was a pure rebellion, the next incarnation was pure fantasy. In 1982, it transformed into Kid, the Night Industries 2000, in the hit series Knight Rider. The magic of Hollywood was potent. Even so, the street Trans Am had a modest 185 horsepower V8. The TV Kid was a space-age dream, super intelligent and virtually indestructible. He elevates Pontiac to legendary status for a global generation. Before abandoning Kid, a humble 1971 Green Pontiac Le Mans was an element but crucial vehicle in the one of the most realistic and celebrated car chases in film history, the French Connection. Even in the 21st century, Pontiac found an unexpected place. Ultra-white Pontiac Aztek, in Breaking Bad, became an icon in his own right. But even icons are immune to time. After decades of glory, Pontiac began a slow and constant decline, the root caused by the GM's tragedy that betrayed his own very essence. The corporate disease known as red badging. Its model stopped being unique creation and frequently became more redesigned version of the Chevrolet counterpart. There were still flashes of his original genius. In 1984, Pontiac dared the impossible with the Fiero, the first mass-produced American mid-engine sport car. Decades later, 2006, the Solstice briefly recaptured the spirit. A lightweight fun roadster that proved the essence still exists. For many, it was the last true Pontiac, but attempts to revive the mystique ultimately failed. 2004 GTO was an excellent car, with a curved hard but anonymous design. Being adapted Australian Hold'em failed to evoke its legacy. And the opposite extreme, the Aztec became a symbol of the lost direction. The final blow was delivered by the Great Recession of 2008. General Motors, on the brink of collapse, required a $53 billion government bailout. The cost of salvation was drastic. As a requirement of restructuring, GM had to sacrifice its not-profitable brands, and Pontiac, having been economically available for years, was sentenced. On January 4, 2010, the very last Pontiac, a G6 sedan, rolled out of the assembly. The brand that once taught us to build excitement was officially shuttered. But an icon doesn't die. Al- As long as the legends remember, the road that Trans Am, the rebellion of the regional GTO, the intelligence of the kid, the bold innovative spirit lives on every enthusiast who turned their head to see a Pontiac on the street. These stories and eternal reminder in the world of automobile, excitement never goes out of style. In the end, paradox that defines Pontiac is profound. A brand that didn't die for lack of legacy. Today, Pontiac doesn't live in a factory. It lives in the heart of enthusiasts. It lives in every row of the GTO that defined time, in every place that followed a Trans Am on the highway, in every Fiero that still challenged the rules, and which for so many glorious years it delivered. That excitement is forever.